I'm Joe. Standing here in the aftermath of the will reading, I can still feel the tension in the air. My father, Robert, is standing in the middle of the room, his face drained of color, as the truth about his actions is laid bare. The room is silent, and the weight of what has just happened presses down on me. It all started a few weeks ago when I received the devastating news. I was at the hospital, charting vitals at the nurse's station, when my phone buzzed. It was my father telling me that my mother, Emily, had collapsed. I rushed to the hospital, my hands shaking on the wheel. When I arrived, she was already gone. A massive stroke. My father was already there, signing the paperwork. He seemed so calm, as if he was just closing a business deal. He had already chosen the casket, the visitation window, and even the flowers. He picked white lilies, even though my mother hated them. She loved yellow daisies. That night, I went to my parents' house. I sat in my mother's bedroom, surrounded by her things. Her reading glasses were still on the nightstand, and her library book was open, face down. But her bedside drawer, the one she always kept locked, was empty. The little brass key she wore on a chain was gone. It was as if she had been erased from the house in just a few hours. The next day, when I went back to help plan the service, I found a strange woman in the kitchen. Her name was Sarah, and she was wearing my mother's favorite cardigan. My father introduced her as a close friend who had been helping him. I asked about my mother's home office, where she kept all her important documents, but my father said he had cleaned it out. The filing cabinet was empty, and the desk drawers were bare. At the visitation, my father was the center of attention. People offered their condolences, saying what a poor man he was. He started spreading lies about my mother, saying she had been struggling mentally and had made some unusual financial decisions. I was standing there, feeling like an outsider at my own mother's viewing. Then, in the parking lot of the funeral home, a man named Mr. Thompson approached me. He was my mother's attorney. He told me that my father had been lying to me my whole life. There was a second will, and if my father found out I knew about it, I was in danger. He gave me a key to a storage unit and told me to check it that night. That night, I opened the storage unit. Inside were 3 boxes. In the first box, there were 12 leather-bound journals. In the second, there were bank statements, insurance documents, and a photocopy of the deed to the house. In the third, there was an envelope addressed to me. I opened the envelope and read my mother's letter. She wrote that my father had taken control of all the bank accounts early in their marriage. He had moved the $200,000 she inherited from her mother into a joint account and then transferred it to his own account piece by piece. He had also changed the beneficiary on her life insurance policy from me to himself, without her signature. I started going through the journals. My mother had been documenting my father's actions for years. When I was 6, he had asked her to transfer the inheritance for family management, and within a few months, the balance dropped significantly. When I was 8, he canceled my birthday party, telling me she was sick when she wasn't. He used me to build a wall between my mother and me. As I delved deeper into the financial documents, I discovered that over 15 years, approximately $350,000 had been transferred from joint accounts to my father's sole accounts. The transfers were structured to avoid detection. He had also changed the beneficiary on the primary life insurance policy without my mother's verified consent, and there were 2 forged signatures on banking documents. 3 years ago, my mother, without my father's knowledge, had purchased a separate life insurance policy through Mr. Thompson, naming me as the sole beneficiary. The day before the will reading, I went to my parents' house. My father was sitting at the kitchen table, acting as if nothing was wrong. Sarah was there, wearing my mother's garnet ring. I pretended to go along with it, but inside I was seething. We filed the second will at the county courthouse. Mr. Thompson explained that under state probate law, the later, dated will would take precedence. He also had a forensic accountant, M.S. Davis, review the financial records. On the day of the will reading, my father had turned it into a public event, inviting 30 people. His attorney, Mr. Harris, presented his version of the will. According to it, my father would get the house, the joint savings, and the life insurance, while I would receive a trust of $20,000 to be administered by him. I asked if I could say something. I calmly pointed out that my mother had worked hard for 30 years, inherited money, and paid into her life insurance for decades, yet everything was going to my father. My father tried to dismiss me, saying I was too emotional and not good with money.
Just then, Mr.
Thompson walked in. He presented the second will, which was dated 6 months after my father's. It stated that the house, the savings, and the separate life insurance policy would go to me, and my father would receive nothing. My father tried to claim it was a forgery, but Mr. Thompson had all the evidence. Linda, my mother's best friend, stood up and said she was a witness to my mother signing the will. She was clear-headed and determined. Mr. Thompson also played the report from M.S. Davis, the forensic accountant. It confirmed the financial abuse my father had committed over the years. As the truth came out, people in the room started to turn against my father. His golf partner, Tom, left without a word, and Sarah pulled her hand away from my father. My father was desperate, trying to defend himself, but no one believed him. In the end, the second will was accepted, and the financial evidence was forwarded to the district attorney's office for review. My father's attorney withdrew from representing him. My father started calling me, leaving voicemails full of rage, bargaining, threats, and finally weeping. I didn't answer. In the following weeks, the story spread around town. People who had once supported my father started to distance themselves from him. Sarah moved out of the house, leaving behind all of my mother's jewelry. 3 weeks after the funeral, the probate court officially transferred the house to my name. The separate life insurance policy money cleared into my account, and the joint savings were frozen pending the DA's review. My father left town, moving in with an old college roommate in another state. I changed the locks on the house. As I walked through the rooms, I found a small photograph of me and my mother when I was 5. It was the one thing my father had missed when he cleaned out her dresser. I've been going through my mother's journals. The last few are filled with her love for me. She had opened a 529 education fund for me, saving quietly over the years. I used that money to enroll in an online MSN program. I don't hate my father. I'm just deeply disappointed. I've learned that if something doesn't feel right, you need to check the facts. Silence only protects the abuser, and the truth will always prevail. I'm now living in the house my mother loved, and I'm determined to finish what she started.